We have honored a particular individual who has, in his career, in his lifetime, brought great credit upon himself by advancing principles of humanity that we all, most of us in this room, have dedicated our lives to.
Thank you, David. It's really a great honor and privilege to be amongst all of you who do so much for humanity. And I was at our table having dinner and reflecting on how many of you have done so much for people who really have no ability to advance their own rules of law, principles, or even their family. And I was thinking about this month, Janice and I were greeted with two princes. We've been to our summer home in Prince Edward Island, and we had Prince Zeid. And we went, one day we read about the meteor showers, and interestingly enough, a meteor shower is a number of bright stars streaking across the universe. And in Prince Edward Island, there is really no cloud cover. It's a very pure place. It is due east from here, about 600 miles, etc. Well, lo and behold, that night only one shower occurred with one star. So tonight we're here to honor one star in the humanitarian realm, and I'd like to thank you all for coming and participating in this. Thank you.
Good evening. Prince Zeid currently serves as Jordan's permanent representative to the United Nations, a position he has held since 2000, though took a break from in 2007 through 2010 to serve as Jordan's ambassador to the United States and non-resident ambassador to Mexico. Before that, from 1996 to 2000, he served as Jordan's deputy permanent representative. With his knowledge of international justice matters, Prince Zeid also played a crucial role and central role in the establishment of the International Criminal Court. For instance, over a period of 2 years, he chaired the negotiations on the elements of the individual offenses falling under the crimes of genocide, crimes against humanity, and war crimes. In September 2002, Prince Zeid was elected the first president of the governing body of the International Criminal Court. He was also the first of 2 UN ambassadors to chair the ad hoc committee on the scope of legal protection under the Convention on the Safety of United Nations and Associated Personnel. Prince Zeid has also been a political affairs officer in the United Nations Protection Force in the former Yugoslavia, a position he held from February 1994 to 1996. And he has also worked intimately on a number of peacekeeping issues over the last 20 years. In September, Prince Zeid will be assuming a new position as the new High Commissioner for Human Rights, a position he was unanimously elected to by the General Assembly this past June.
What we'd like to do is we'd like to play a little film clip in support of his award. So if we could do that, please.
What's next for you? I mean, other than Jon Stewart, reading books, kind of catching up on what's going on in the Middle East, what's new? What's next for you?
Well, I turned up here in the mistaken belief that I actually won the Heintz Humanitarian Award. Because it wasn't clear in the invitation. And so I sent a note to David, and I said, David, I'm very proud. My mother's very happy. My children are very proud. But I really don't know what I've done in a humanitarian sense to have warranted this or merited this. Now, quietly to myself, I always knew that I deserved it for something, but I couldn't say so. And then he said to me, well, actually, it's not for you. It's for someone else. So I suppose I have to come back and win it at some stage. Yeah.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Joshua, Abigail.
dear Fred, you know, given the job that I'll be assuming very soon, in 10 days' time, and how unpopular I'm going to be with so many people, I'm going to take every award I can get. Every award. Although when David did call me up, this time I really was surprised, because there's something surely wrong with giving an award to someone who had been serving on the Security Council. If I deserved anything, it's a telling off in the very same manner in which Navi Pillay told off the Security Council last week for having failed to do what it was charged by the UN Charter to do, to save, the UN organization, of course, is mandated by the Charter to save succeeding generations from the scourge of war. And in so many parts of the world, the Security Council has manifestly failed to do so, notwithstanding the heroic efforts by all those represented here, the prosecutors, the chief prosecutors, their deputies, and those who work in the UN night and day to ensure that some justice is obtained for what we see happening across the globe. The one bright spot, if I can call that, in my 7 months on the Security Council was when I was having to think about what to say on the occasion of the 20th anniversary commemorating the start of the genocide in Rwanda. I came across this magnificent story about a hero of the UN who was never quite recognized by the UN, Mbaye Diagne of Senegal, a captain who saved potentially saved up to 1,000 people, between 100 and 1,000, on his own during the worst months, of course, and just toward the end of it, he was killed. And what really struck me is that his family were struggling 20 years on to cope with the fact that not only had they lost their father, their husband, but there had been no recognition of the heroic feats that this UN officer, the Senegalese officer, undertook in the service of humanity. And so I thought if we were going to commemorate these awful events that led to the death of about 800,000, perhaps 1 million Tutsis and moderate Hutus who had opposed the genocidaire, that perhaps what we needed to do is recognize the efforts and the actions of real heroes. And I hope once the UN decides exactly how to make this award available to people who work in the UN, at the service of the UN, that people will read more about Mbaye Diagne, and certainly as High Commissioner, I will constantly refer to him, because we need role models, we need courage, we need, especially at this juncture, we need to defeat whatever hesitancy so occupies us, whatever arguments we present, and in whichever way we rationalize inaction, and take the right action in defense of people all over the world. And I'm most honored to receive this award, the Joshua Heintz Award. Thank you, Joshua. Thank you.